Amidst the smoldering ruins of what was once a city, she appeared. Not a soldier, not a survivor cowering in fear, but a woman walking with an unsettling calm through the chaos. Her serenity was a stark contrast to the destruction surrounding her, a silent rebellion in a world brought to its knees. The alien vanguard, clad in biomechanical armor, paused. Their sensors flared, trying to categorize this anomaly. They were masters of war, architects of fear, yet this lone human showed none. Their confusion was palpable. This was not the terror they were accustomed to sowing. This was something entirely new. The squad leader, a brute encased in layers of hardened alloy, approached her. Its weapon hummed, ready to extinguish this bizarre defiance. It gestured a universal command to kneel. She did not. Instead, she reached out, her hand moving with a slow, deliberate grace. Her fingers, delicate and bare, touched the soldier's chest plate. A soft chime, almost musical, echoed in the silence. Then cracks spiderwebbed across the armor, not from force, but as if the very laws of physics were unraveling at her touch. The material, designed to withstand plasma fire, fractured and crumbled into dust, revealing the stunned creature within. Before it could react, its own form dissolved into motes of light. A shadow fell over them. The Colossus, a city block-sized titan of war, turned its massive head. Its primary cannon glowed, preparing to obliterate her. She simply looked up, her gaze meeting its singular burning eye. She raised her hand again, palm open towards the sky. The air itself seemed to ripple. From the ground, a wave of pure, white energy surged upwards, silent and impossibly fast. It struck the Titan not with an explosion, but with a profound and absolute negation. The behemoth vanished. One moment, it was the embodiment of galactic conquest. The next, it was gone, leaving only a lingering afterimage against the smoke-filled sky. Across the battlefield, the fighting stopped. Human and alien alike stared at the empty space where their Titan had been. The relentless hum of the invasion fell silent. For the first time in a decade of losing, a new feeling sparked in the hearts of the defenders, hope. The war was not over, but the tide had turned. On that day, in the ashes of a fallen city, humanity learned that a single, quiet touch could be more powerful than an entire armada, and the fate of the galaxy was forever changed. The first ship appeared without warning, a silent obsidian scar against the blue canvas of our sky. Then came another, and another. Panic was a tidal wave, sweeping across continents in a matter of hours. Our most advanced weapons were like toys against their impenetrable hulls. Our armies, our finest soldiers, were brushed aside with terrifying ease. Cities we had known our whole lives, monuments to human achievement, crumbled into dust and ash. News channels became a constant stream of devastation, a loop of explosions and terrified screams. Hope was a dying ember, and despair was the cold, suffocating blanket that fell over the world. We weren't just losing. We were being erased. It felt like the end of everything. In our darkest hour, when every defense had failed and the world held its breath for the final, crushing blow, she appeared. No one knew where she came from. There were no records, no history, no name. She simply walked out of the chaos of a burning city, calm and untouched. The aliens, these unstoppable titans, turned their devastating energy weapons on her. And nothing happened. A shimmering, almost invisible field around her absorbed every blast. We watched, speechless, as she lifted a hand. The air around the nearby alien destroyer warped, twisted, and then the colossal ship, miles long, was crushed like a tin can, imploding in a silent, violent spectacle. It was impossible. It was a miracle. She moved through the battlefield like a phantom, a graceful, deadly dance. Alien fighters swarmed her, only to be torn from the sky by forces we couldn't comprehend. She pointed a finger, and a beam of pure, white light lanced out, piercing through ship after ship as if they were made of paper. The world's military leaders could only stare at their screens in disbelief. Generals who had just been drafting surrender terms were now watching one woman turn the tide of an interstellar war. Who was she? Was she human? An angel? Something else entirely? The questions raced through everyone's mind, but they were drowned out by a rising feeling we had all but forgotten: hope. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her actions were a declaration. She was our shield, our sword. As she systematically dismantled the invasion fleet, one ship at a time, humanity began to rally. People emerged from their shelters not to flee, but to watch. To witness the impossible. They saw her float into the sky, a lone figure against the backdrop of the alien mothership, the largest of them all, a behemoth that blotted out the sun. The battle for our planet came down to this single moment. The mothership unleashed its primary weapon, a beam of energy so vast it could have cracked the continent in two. It hurtled towards her, a torrent of pure destruction. She raised both hands, and a dome of brilliant, golden light erupted around her, catching the beam. The ground shook, the sky screamed with the pressure, but her shield held. For a few heart-stopping seconds it was a stalemate. Then with a serene expression on her face she began to push back. The alien beam was forced back upon its source. The mothership, the very symbol of our impending extinction, began to groan and buckle under the strain of its own power being turned against it. A chain reaction of explosions ripped through its core, and the monstrous vessel tore itself apart in a cataclysmic, silent detonation in the upper atmosphere. As the debris rained down like harmless, glittering dust, she slowly descended. She landed in the center of a ruined city square, the silence broken only by the distant crackle of fires. All over the world, a collective cheer erupted. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated joy and relief. We had survived, we had won. But our savior, this mysterious woman, simply looked at the dawning sun, at the sky now cleared of its invaders. A faint, almost sad smile touched her lips. Then, as quickly and mysteriously as she had appeared, she vanished. She was gone, leaving behind a saved world and a million questions. Who was she? Why did she help us? Will we ever see her again? We may never know the answers, but her legacy is etched into the heart of humanity. She taught us that even when all hope seems lost, a single person can change everything. She gave us back our future, and in the quiet moments when we look up at the stars, we don't just see the vast, empty darkness anymore. We see the faint, shimmering light of hope she left behind, a reminder of the guardian who appeared in our darkest night. The world held its breath. For 3 long years, we watched the skies, knowing they were coming. The signals were clear, the warnings dire. Governments united, armies mobilized, and humanity braced for the inevitable. When the invaders finally arrived, their ships blotted out the sun, vast and silent leviathans of metal and malice. Our best weapons were like pebbles against a fortress. Our fighter jets swatted from the sky like flies. Cities crumbled, hope dwindled, and a chilling despair began to settle over the planet. We were losing, badly. In the chaos of a decimated London, amidst the rubble and the terrifying hum of alien war machines, a lone figure emerged. Her name was Alara. No one knew where she came from. She wasn't a soldier, a scientist, or a leader. She was just a woman who had been an observer, a ghost in the crowd, until that day. As a colossal alien walker stomped through Trafalgar Square, its energy cannon charging to vaporize a shelter full of civilians, Alara simply raised a hand. A shimmering sapphire blue energy field erupted from her palm, absorbing the devastating blast without a ripple. The alien machine paused, its optical sensors focusing on the impossible sight. Alara didn't hesitate. She clenched her fist, and the energy field imploded, collapsing inward with such force that it tore the multi-ton walker apart, wrenching metal and alien alloys into a twisted ball of scrap. Silence fell for a moment, broken only by the crackle of fires. Then a single, unified gasp from the survivors hidden nearby. Who was she? Was this real? The invaders didn't wait for an answer. Dozens of smaller insect-like drones swarmed her position, firing a volley of plasma bolts. Alara moved like a dancer in a storm. She weaved between the blasts, her hands tracing patterns in the air. With every gesture, she redirected the plasma, sending it hurtling back at her attackers. Drones exploded in showers of sparks, their own weapons turned against them. This single act of defiance was broadcast across every remaining screen on Earth, a flicker of hope in the deepest darkness. The alien command ship, a behemoth hanging in low orbit, seemed to take notice. It directed its primary weapon towards her location, a beam of pure annihilation capable of glassing a continent. On the ground, Elara looked up, her face calm, her eyes glowing with that same sapphire light. She pushed both hands towards the sky, and from the ground around her, a massive dome of energy surged upwards to meet the descending beam. The collision was blinding. The sky tore open in a cataclysm of light and sound. For a full minute, the two forces battled, the cold, destructive power of the invaders against the raw, untamed energy of one woman. The ground shook, buildings still standing threatened to collapse, but Elara held her ground. Her feet dug into the shattered pavement as she poured every ounce of her being into the shield. Then, with a final, guttural scream that was both defiance and effort, she pushed. The blue dome didn't just hold. It overwhelmed the alien beam, surging up the stream of energy and striking the command ship itself. A chain reaction of explosions ripped across the vessel's hull. Its systems failed, its lights flickered and died, and the colossal ship began a slow, silent descent, breaking apart as it fell. All across the globe, the invading ground forces faltered. Their central command was gone, their god machine was dead. One by one, their engines sputtered and died, their advance grinding to a halt. They were cut off, stranded, and defeated. Elara lowered her hands, the blue light fading from her eyes. She sank to one knee, exhausted but victorious. The world was silent, saved. Humanity had been pushed to the brink of extinction, but in our darkest hour, a mystery, a miracle named Elara, became our shield and our sword. She showed us that even when facing impossible odds, the power of a single, determined individual can be enough to turn the tide. The alien commander's senses recalibrated frantically, trying to process the impossible. Every protocol failed, every contingency collapsed, yet the human stood still, calm and unthreatened by the towering armor surrounding her. Around her, the battlefield was no longer merely a place of destruction, it had become a theater of defiance. The human survivors, emboldened by the impossible display of power, began to form small clusters, using debris as shields, weapons improvised from twisted metal, pipes, and rubble. Their fear had begun to crack like fragile glass, replaced by a new, raw determination. One glance at her glowing hand, and they understood the unspoken truth. They were not helpless. The alien commander took a deliberate step forward, armor plates grinding with mechanical precision. Its voice, amplified across the field, carried a strange mixture of authority and apprehension. You cannot hold them. Your species is insignificant, but the words rang hollow, even to itself. Its companions faltered behind it, their formations losing cohesion. Where once there had been an unstoppable tide, now there was hesitation, doubt, a pause that stretched the thin line between survival and annihilation. The human raised her hand slightly, not in attack, but in calm acknowledgement. Sparks erupted along the alien's armor once more, a reminder that physical might alone could no longer dictate the course of the war. From the sky, alien dropships began releasing more troops, armored and advanced beyond what humans had ever faced. They descended into the chaos, weapons ready, engines screaming, expecting the usual disorganized resistance. Instead, they met silence punctuated by small, daring acts of courage. Civilians hurled debris at their armor, dodged with impossible agility, and in rare moments struck back. They were not fighting alone. The woman's presence radiated a quiet power that knit them together, transforming scattered panic into calculated, if desperate, defiance. The aliens hesitated mid-strike, unsure of the source or the extent of the power before them. A massive explosion shook the northern sector of the city, where one group of humans had lured a small contingent of alien soldiers into a collapsing tower. The dust and fire illuminated a path across the battlefield. The aliens had been trained to expect strategy only from their own ranks. Now, humans who had once been predictable and weak were improvising, adapting, and surviving. They were learning faster than the aliens had anticipated. And at the center of this storm, the woman moved slowly, each step deliberate, each gesture sending a subtle tremor of disruption through the alien forces. One hand raised and a massive armored figure halted mid-charge, its energy shield sparking as systems malfunctioned. The alien commander narrowed its sensors, focusing entirely on her. It had been built to process the battlefield, to dominate and destroy with precision and cold logic. But here, logic failed. Nothing it had known prepared it for a human who could halt machines, who could turn fear into hesitation with the mere motion of a hand. "Explain this," it demanded, as if explanation could anchor reality. Its tone carried no malice, only incredulity, the first hint of uncertainty creeping into its mechanical voice. She did not speak. She did not need to. Every action she had taken, every spark that erupted from the alien armor she touched, conveyed the message more powerfully than words could. Humans are not to be underestimated. The soldiers surrounding her, both frightened and desperate, drew strength from her calm. Improvised barricades held longer. Shouts of encouragement rose above the rumble of engines and the hiss of weapons. The impossible had begun to reshape the battlefield, not through numbers, but through presence, certainty, and courage. Suddenly, a massive shadow fell across the street. A colossal alien walker, far larger than anything seen before, trampled toward the woman's position. Its size alone should have caused terror, yet even this monstrosity hesitated as it drew near. Her hand lifted, glowing brighter now as if drawing power from the determination of those around her. The walker's steps faltered, sensors overloaded, armor straining against a force it could not calculate. For the first time, the humans felt a surge of hope beyond mere survival, an understanding that they could influence the outcome of this war. One person had changed the rules of engagement. One human had shown them that courage could override technology, that resolve could fracture the impossible. As the sun dipped below the smoke-stained horizon, casting long, jagged shadows across the battlefield, the woman's gaze swept the chaos. She had not yet used her full power, nor had she declared victory. But the ripple she had created of hesitation, defiance, and hope spread like wildfire among both the humans and the aliens. The war was far from over, but one truth had been established with clarity. Humanity could fight back, and the universe would never again underestimate what one determined human could achieve. Every armored soldier, every ship, every commander would now face a threat they could not predict, and the galaxy itself had shifted, just slightly, toward the impossible. The colossal walker moved with terrifying precision, each step sending tremors through the cracked streets. Its armored legs ground concrete and rubble into dust. Yet when it neared the woman, it slowed, as though reluctant to touch the invisible boundary she radiated. Around it, smaller alien soldiers advanced cautiously, but hesitation spread like wildfire. Humans who had spent years hiding, scavenging, and fleeing now began to rise, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and newfound courage. They grasped whatever could be wielded: metal pipes, broken beams, makeshift shields, and for the first time in decades, they did not tremble. They watched her, calm and determined, and understood that courage was contagious. The woman lifted her hands slowly, fingers glowing brighter than ever. Sparks began to crawl along the walker's armor seams, small at first, then growing, crawling like molten fire. Sensors flickered, armor groaned under stress it had never been designed to withstand. The humans around her took the cue. A sudden surge of coordinated action erupted from their ranks, throwing debris, improvised explosives, anything that could distract the aliens. Where once chaos had reigned, there was now improvisation, collaboration, and strategy born from desperation. Every action they took amplified the tremor she had begun. The impossible energy that had shattered one armored soldier, now bending machines and soldiers alike. The colossal walker faltered. Sparks leapt from the cracks in its armor as its legs buckled slightly. Its targeting systems went haywire, misfiring and blasting sections of the ruined city into rubble. Smaller alien units hesitated, unsure whether to advance or retreat, their programming conflicted by the inexplicable force emanating from the human at the center. The alien commander, the towering figure whose armor had once seemed invincible, stepped forward, moving with precision, trying to assert control. Its voice boomed across the battlefield, demanding obedience, attempting to re-establish order. But hesitation had taken root too deeply. The humans had tasted agency, and their fear had begun to transform into calculated defiance. The woman did not speak, but her presence communicated everything. One human, emboldened by the glow of her hand, swung a broken beam into the side of a smaller alien walker, sending it staggering. Another hurled a salvaged explosive at an advancing troop, striking with perfect timing. The battlefield shifted as the humans improvised tactics no alien could have predicted. Chaos, once their enemy, became an ally, every irregular move amplified by the woman's quiet but undeniable power. One by one, alien soldiers faltered, systems overloaded, armor cracking under force that should have been negligible. From above, the alien flagship observed the unfolding disaster. Commanders exchanged frantic signals, their confidence unraveling with every moment. They had never faced a species capable of turning fear into strategy, hesitation into improvisation. Yet here it was, happening in real time. Every measure they had perfected for decades, every algorithm and weapon designed to suppress weaker species was failing. The realization began to spread. Their assumptions about humans had been catastrophically wrong. On the ground, the humans advanced slowly but deliberately, using cover, coordination, and the energy that radiated from her hand to their advantage. The colossal walker's legs shuddered as her glow intensified, and with a final, deliberate gesture, sparks cascaded across its body like a storm of molten metal. It let out a shrill metallic shriek as its systems failed catastrophically, toppling into a pile of rubble that shook the streets and sent dust clouds spiraling into the sky. The alien commander froze, shocked and indecisive, while the smaller soldiers hesitated, confused and leaderless. For a moment, silence fell over the battlefield. Then, as humans surged forward in cautious, synchronized steps, the impossible became tangible. One human had turned the tide of battle, and countless others were learning how to follow. Amid the chaos, the woman's calm did not falter. She had not yet used her full force, nor had she issued commands, yet every action of hers amplified the humans' resolve. They were not simply surviving, they were fighting back. Her power, subtle and undeniable, reshaped the battlefield itself. The aliens had underestimated humans for centuries, assuming physical weakness equated to predictability and obedience. They were learning too late that human ingenuity, courage, and willpower could bend even the mightiest machines. As the sun set, painting the ruined city in a blood-red hue, the battlefield was transformed. Once frightened humans were now advancing in small, coordinated units. Alien forces reeled from setbacks they could neither anticipate nor prevent. The colossal walker's destruction was not just a symbol, it was proof. And at the center of it all, calm, unwavering, her hands still glowing faintly, the woman stood as the anchor of a revolution born not from armies, but from courage, ingenuity, and the undeniable truth that humanity could not be crushed. One gentle touch had sparked a counterattack that would be remembered for generations, a spark that would ignite hope across the galaxy. For decades, we scanned the cosmos, listening for a whisper, a sign that we weren't alone. We found it. Or rather, it found us. They didn't come in peace. Their ships, monolithic and silent, blotted out the sun. Our cities fell in hours. Our armies, our technology, all our pride and might were brushed aside like dust. We were no longer the masters of our world. We were the hunted. Hope, a concept we once took for granted, became a flickering ember in a storm of despair. We scattered, hiding in the ruins of our own civilization, just trying to survive another day. But in the darkest of nights, a new light emerged. Her name was Alara. She wasn't a soldier or a scientist. She was an artist, someone who saw the world in colors and patterns others missed. When the invaders came, something inside her awakened. She could see them. Not just their ships, but their thoughts, their plans, their network. It was like she could hear the silent music of their hive mind. At first, it was a terrifying cacophony, a storm of alien consciousness that nearly broke her. But slowly, she learned to listen, to find the patterns, the weaknesses. Alara became our ghost in their machine. From a hidden bunker, deep beneath a ravaged city, she guided the remnants of humanity. "They're moving a supply convoy through the old canyons," she'd whisper, her voice a lifeline to scattered resistance cells. "Their shield generator on the eastern seaboard has a 2-second recharge delay. Tiny victories at first. A saved family here, a destroyed drone there. But these small wins rekindled the fire of hope. We began to fight back, not with brute force, but with precision and cunning. We were no longer just surviving. We were resisting. Alara is our compass, our oracle. She bears an immense burden, diving into the minds of our destroyers, but she never falters. She showed us that our greatest weapon wasn't a bomb or a gun, but the unbreakable spirit of a single person and the courage to fight for the dawn. The war is far from over, but now we have a chance. We will take back our sky, one star at a time. The alien commander strode through the smoke and ruin, each step a thunderous reminder of the invaders' dominance. Sparks and fire danced along its damaged armor, yet its presence remained terrifyingly imposing. It had survived countless conflicts, toppled planets, and broken civilizations, but this one human, calm and unarmed, had shattered its assumptions, fractured its confidence, and now stood at the center of a battlefield transformed by courage alone. Around her, humans pressed forward, emboldened and daring, but all eyes remained on her, the heart of their improbable resistance. She met its gaze without fear. The glow in her hand pulsed, faint but steady, as if in quiet rhythm with the pulse of the earth beneath their feet. Every movement of hers was deliberate, calculated, yet deceptively gentle. The commander's senses flared, systems overloading under a phenomenon they could not measure. It raised its massive arm, energy cannon, humming to life, a weapon designed to end entire armies in seconds. The humans flinched, yet did not scatter. They had seen what she could do, and they trusted that her calm was the anchor holding them together. With a surge of speed that belied its size, the alien commander lunged toward her. Its armor clashed with the cracked streets, shaking rubble from nearby buildings. Sparks raced along its joints as her fingers lifted, glowing brighter now. One touch, simple, almost casual, rippled across its chest. Systems overloaded, circuits screamed, armor buckling in places that had never failed. The commander staggered, and the humans surged forward, seizing the moment to strike with improvised weapons, each action synchronized with the subtle influence she radiated. But this was no longer merely disruption. The alien commander adapted, attempting to anticipate her next movement, adjusting tactics in real time. It swung with precision, aiming to crush her physically, to force an error. She dodged with uncanny agility, fluid and calm, every step measured. Sparks erupted along its armor with each near touch, the seams straining as if under impossible pressure. For the first time in decades, the alien realized it was no longer the hunter, it was reacting to the prey, uncertain, vulnerable, and incapable of predicting the next move. The humans around them advanced, inspired by her fearlessness. They were no longer pawns or collateral, they were participants, fighting with the courage she had ignited. Molotov cocktails, debris, and makeshift explosives were hurled with precision. Alien soldiers faltered as their systems glitched under her influence. Machines designed to calculate and dominate could not account for human will intertwined with an unquantifiable force. Each small victory built momentum, transforming scattered hope into coordinated resistance. A sudden roar tore across the battlefield as the alien commander attempted a full-force strike, its energy cannon flaring. The air burned with plasma, and nearby humans dived for cover, yet she remained standing, her hand raised, glowing intensely. Sparks leapt from the commander's armor where her touch brushed against it, not in attack but in subtle assertion. The armor buckled, plating cracking under force it was never meant to endure. Systems failed in waves, the energy cannon sputtering and misfiring into the rubble. The humans took advantage of the chaos, advancing with precision, coordinated by the rhythm of her calm. Time seemed to stretch. Every second the alien commander remained active, systems failing under impossible pressure, the humans gained confidence. Even the survivors who had hidden in fear now pushed forward, throwing themselves into the fight with a daring that was contagious. For the first time, they were not merely enduring, they were participating in shaping the outcome. And through it all, the woman stood at the center, a calm axis around which chaos bent, her subtle influence spreading outward like ripples across a pond. Finally, with a shudder and a screech of strained metal, the alien commander stumbled backward, staggering against rubble, sparks flying from every seam. Its systems were overloaded, its energy cannon useless, its armor fractured beyond repair. The humans surged forward in a wave of coordinated action, inspired by the impossible display they had just witnessed. What had begun as fear had transformed into organized defiance. One human, calm and deliberate, had turned the battlefield into a stage where courage triumphed over machine, ingenuity outsmarted calculation, and willpower fractured the impossible. As smoke and fire lit the horizon, the commander's fall was not merely physical, it was symbolic. The humans had discovered that their strength was not measured in numbers, nor in weapons, but in resilience, courage, and the unity inspired by one human who refused to submit. And in the center of the chaos, the woman lowered her hand, letting the glow fade. She had not declared victory, she had not yet finished, but she had shown the universe a truth that could not be denied. Humanity was never to be underestimated. From orbit, the alien high command watched in disbelief. Their elite commander, a machine designed for perfection, had fallen before one human. Systems flashed, calculations crashed, and fleets that had dominated countless worlds now faltered at the mere possibility of unpredictability. Across the galaxy, their empire had relied on fear and control. Yet here, on this shattered planet, that control had slipped through their fingers. The humans, inspired by a single being, had rallied, organized, and struck back with improvisation no algorithm could anticipate. The alien flagship shuddered as reinforcements launched in waves, larger, faster, deadlier than anything before. Dropships screamed through the sky, each releasing soldiers and walkers built to crush resistance before it could form. Orbital bombardments streaked downward, massive energy blasts designed to reduce the city to ash. Yet below, humans did not flee. They moved with purpose, shielded and coordinated, their confidence growing as they learned to anticipate patterns, improvise attacks, and exploit weaknesses. And at the center of the battlefield, she moved like a calm storm, her hand glowing faintly, energy pulsing with every subtle gesture, disrupting alien targeting systems and guidance arrays. The streets were chaos incarnate. Fire raged across the ruins. Twisted steel groaned under the force of explosions, and the smell of ozone and scorched metal hung thick in the air. Humans ducked behind rubble, hurled projectiles, and maneuvered through the debris with courage they had never known. They were no longer terrified survivors, they were participants in a war they had been told they could not win. The woman's presence tied them together, each small act of defiance amplified by her quiet certainty. Sparks danced along the armor of approaching alien soldiers where her energy met their systems, machines shuddering under an unseen pressure. From above, an enormous warship descended, dwarfing the city. Its surface glimmered with alien technology, armor layered with energy-absorbing plates, weapons bristling with destructive potential. The alien commanders believed this ship would end the humans' resistance in minutes. Yet, as it landed, the soldiers below hesitated. They had seen one human change everything. Could one human influence the outcome of a warship? The odds were impossible, yet the battlefield itself seemed to answer their doubt. The glowing energy around her, extended outward, subtle but undeniable, rippling across the battlefield, interfering with the ship's sensors and causing initial weapons to misfire into open terrain. The alien commanders erupted in frustration. Calculations, probabilities, and strategies, everything designed to ensure dominance, had failed spectacularly. They had underestimated humans' courage, ingenuity, and adaptability. And now, with one human at the center, entire units faltered. Walkers stopped mid-stride, energy weapons overheated, shields glitched. Where once there had been certainty, there was hesitation. Panic, subtle but spreading, rippled through ranks that had never before known fear. On the ground, humans seized the opportunity. They moved as one, advancing through the debris, using the chaos to their advantage. Improvised explosives, debris hurled with precision, and guerrilla-style tactics forced alien soldiers into unexpected positions. Even civilians who had been hiding joined small skirmishes, emboldened by what they had witnessed. Humans could fight back. The woman moved through the battlefield like a conductor, her presence guiding them without speech, her glowing hand a symbol of unity and hope. The colossal warship fired a salvo into the city. Energy blasts tore through streets, vaporizing buildings and crushing armored soldiers alike. Yet when the energy struck areas near her, The blasts faltered, misfired, and scattered harmlessly into rubble. The alien commander's frustration turned into disbelief. One human, calm and unarmed, had altered the battlefield in ways that advanced technology could not predict, forcing machines to fail where strategy alone could not. As explosions lit the horizon in blood red and gold, the humans pressed forward with a determination that bordered on defiance. No longer were they merely surviving, they were shaping the battle, exploiting openings created by her subtle influence. Alien soldiers began to retreat in disorganized waves. Walkers staggered, and the colossal ship, powerful beyond imagination, faltered as its systems glitched under a force it could not comprehend. The human's courage had become contagious, and the impossible had begun to feel inevitable. She paused for a moment amidst the chaos, scanning the battlefield. Her hands still glowed faintly, the quiet epicenter of a storm she had begun alone. The aliens had brought their most destructive reinforcements, yet even they faltered under the influence of one human and the determination she had sparked in countless others. One gentle touch had inspired countless acts of courage. One human had rewritten the rules of engagement. And now, as the alien high command scrambled to recalibrate their strategy, the stage was set for a confrontation that could decide the fate of worlds. Not by numbers nor by weapons, but by willpower, ingenuity, and the undeniable force of humanity. Imagine a world brought to its knees. For years we've been losing, pushed to the brink of extinction by an alien force that seems unstoppable. Their technology is light years ahead, their numbers overwhelming. Humanity's last flickering hope is a scattered resistance, fighting a war they know they can't win. But what if one person could change everything? Enter Alex, an ordinary person with an extraordinary secret. Hidden within Alex is a power no one understands, not even Alex. It's a key, a weapon, something the invaders fear. When this power is unleashed in a moment of desperation, it sends a shockwave through the conflict. Suddenly, the impossible seems possible. This isn't just a story about superpowers. It's about the courage to stand up when all seems lost. Alex becomes the symbol of defiance, inspiring a broken army to rise from the ashes. Through brilliant strategy and raw determination, Alex shows them how to turn the invaders' strengths into weaknesses. The final stand for Earth is about to begin, and humanity finally has a fighting chance. It's one person against an empire, proving that even in our darkest hour, a single spark can ignite a revolution. The battlefield was unrecognizable. Once a city of steel and glass, it now lay in ruin, scarred by fire, explosions, and the relentless advance of a species that had been underestimated for millennia. Smoke swirled through shattered streets, carrying the scent of ozone and scorched metal. Yet, amid the devastation, life stirred. Humans moved with purpose, not merely surviving, but reclaiming the ruins as proof that they were no longer prey. At the center of it all stood the woman, calm, luminous, her hand glowing faintly as if echoing the heartbeat of humanity itself. From orbit, the alien high command attempted one final coordinated strike. Massive warships descended, walkers surged forward, and elite troops formed in precise formations. The humans braced themselves, fear tempered by the courage she had instilled. Every human who had hidden, trembled, or despaired now stood ready, united not by orders, but by hope, ingenuity, and the example she had set. The impossible was now possible, and the aliens were about to learn it. The woman lifted her hand, subtle sparks dancing across the air. A ripple passed through the battlefield, disrupting alien targeting systems, stalling walkers, and misfiring cannons. The humans surged forward in a wave of improvisation and precision. Molotov cocktails, debris, and salvaged explosives tore through alien ranks. Walkers faltered, energy shields overloaded, and soldiers staggered as her influence spread outward, guiding the humans in ways no machine could calculate. Every act of bravery fed into a momentum she had sparked, a tide the aliens could not withstand. The largest alien warship opened fire, plasma lances streaking toward the city. Buildings crumbled under the onslaught, but as the blasts neared her, sparks of interference rippled across the energy fields. Systems flared, shields faltered, and the beams veered off course. Humans moved with uncanny timing, exploiting the openings her presence created. It was no longer a battle of strength, it was a battle of will, ingenuity, and courage against raw technological superiority. The alien commanders realized the war was lost before their eyes. Their elite forces had fallen one by one, their machines faltered, and the humans had learned to exploit the subtle disturbances she created. Panic spread through their ranks, hesitation replaced precision. For the first time in galactic history, their invincible fleet had been undone not by numbers, not by strategy, but by the indomitable will of one species and one human whose presence had inspired countless others. On the ground, the humans pressed forward. Survivors who had once cowered now acted decisively, guiding attacks, blocking streets, and striking at vulnerable points of alien armor. The alien hierarchy faltered, command structures broken, soldiers retreating or collapsing under pressure. Every stagger of a walker, every malfunction of a weapon, every hesitation in alien ranks bolstered the humans' confidence. Fear had transformed into determination, despair into strategy. One human had turned the impossible into reality. The woman advanced steadily, calm amidst chaos, her hand glowing brighter than ever. One by one, the remaining alien command units fell under her influence. Sparks raced along armor seams, circuits overloaded, weapons misfired, and the largest walkers collapsed in clouds of twisted metal. The aliens attempted to regroup, but hesitation had spread like wildfire. Coordination was impossible, and every attempt at organized counterattack failed. The battlefield, once dominated by alien precision, was now a testament to human resilience, adaptability, and willpower. Finally, silence fell. The alien fleet, battered and fractured, retreated into orbit. The remaining soldiers fled or surrendered, and the city lay in ruin, but free. Humans stood among the rubble, eyes wide with disbelief, awe, and triumph. Survivors raised their voices in uncoordinated but powerful cheers. One human had changed the course of the battle. Yes, but all had learned to fight, to resist, to refuse defeat. She lowered her hand. The glow faded, leaving a calm stillness across the battlefield. Humans moved toward each other, embracing, aiding, and rising from the rubble together. For decades they had endured oppression, fear, and annihilation. Today they had reclaimed not just their city, but their dignity, their identity, and their destiny. One gentle touch had ended a war that had seemed inevitable. One human had reminded the galaxy that strength is measured not in weapons or numbers, but in courage, ingenuity, and the refusal to yield. The sun broke over the horizon, bathing the ruins in golden light. The wind carried smoke, dust, and the quiet sound of life returning. In that moment, humanity had become more than survivors, they had become legends. Across the shattered streets, through the ruins of machines built to dominate, the message was clear. Humanity would endure. Humanity would fight. And humanity would never again be underestimated. The galaxy had watched, and the universe had learned. The impossible could be achieved by the indomitable spirit of one species and sometimes by the gentle touch of one human.